Hello, my name is Nathan Suman, and I'm a part of the group Non-Traditional Communications, and this is my presentation on PyQt5. So I came into this project this semester with one other member, and we both joined a team of three that had already been working on an encrypted messaging system since last semester. I did not know much about encryption or how servers communicated with one another, but I had a bit of Python experience. This group had been so focused on figuring out the back end last semester, they had no front end initialized for this project. So the main task for me was to figure out what the best GUI application for our backend code was. I did a lot of research on different web application languages and front end development systems like Flask and React, but these ended up being a bit overly complicated to integrate with some of our asynchronous operations of our backend. So we ended up doing is we found PyQt, PyQt5 to be exact, which instead of being a web application developer is a desktop application developer, uh, which is kind of more matured for event-driven handling, which ended up being perfect for our back-end code. So this is the desktop application that we coded and is very primitive. This is what we had first off. And this was coded by hand into the backend of our project. It completed the job just fine, but was lacking in many areas. In this one, we have buttons for each of the commands it takes to connect to the client for communication, and the central server to uh, basically authenticate both users. And there's a spot for a text bar for typing messages to send between clients. And this is basically just a default design for the whole graphical user interface. So this is where PyQt Designer came in handy. Instead of coding every item in design by hand, this allowed us to drag and drop widgets, buttons, etc., and actually put some design into our GUI. So PyQt Designer uses style sheets to upgrade the visual presentation of the application. And I was not too familiar with CSS, but it gave me a new area to learn. Um, and once done designing with PyQt Designer, all you need to do is run one command in the terminal and it converts seamlessly to Python code. And then that allowed us to integrate it with our other front end code that we already had. So the time didn't allow us to get too much further with PyQt5. A lot of the time went to research and figuring out what was best to integrate with our backend. But if we did have the time, there's actually some other really cool features that I would have loved to get into. So first off, database integration is seamless with PyQt5. Since it's so well integrated with Python, there are many ways to go about integrating databases, which would have been very useful for our project if we wanted to get more into storing the encrypted messages to be viewed later. Another cool feature integrated into PyQt5 is PyQt Graph, and this allows for 3D volume renderings, mesh plots, and much, much more. So yeah, that is my presentation on PyQt5. Thank you for listening.